Dairy, dairy, dairy. Women especially. Ice cream, yogurt, milk, butter, cheese, white creamy salad dressings, cake icing, creme brulee, parmesan, cheddar, blue cheese, feta, burrata, mozzarella, Swiss, paneer, ricotta, provolone, cottage cheese, melted cheese, grilled cheese, double latte espressos, whipped cream on top, cream cheese, cheese cake, dipping cheese, and cheese puffs. Dairy, dairy, dairy. Women love cow milk so much they force their babies to have it instead of their own mother's milk. Almost all dairy is made from cow's milk. What is cow's milk? It's intended to nurse baby cows, not humans, baby cows. All right, so what's wrong if humans consume it? As long as you're not lactose intolerant, right? That's all people think about when they think of dairy and milk, is like if they're lactose intolerant or not. Well, I hate to break it to you, but cow's milk is a lot more than just lactose. But what is lactose while we're talking about it? Well, it's a type of sugar. But cow milk is more than just lactose. Cow milk is basically sugar, fat, and hormones. Very powerful hormones that make this turn into this in a short amount of time. And before they're full grown, cows stop drinking it and start eating grass. No full-grown cow ever starts drinking another cow's milk. Ever wonder why? But humans do it. In fact, they consume milk and cheese and ice cream and cheese melted over hamburgers, ironically made up of ground-up cows. You would think dairy was the main food source of humans. They give it to their babies like it was better than human mother's milk. But this is not what nature intended. And millions of people are paying the price, many with their lives. Pasture-raised or grass-fed or not, it doesn't matter. Cows naturally contain hormones that make them grow to be 2,000-pound animals and stay that way until they die. And what happens when you put these powerful hormones in a human body? It makes things grow like crazy, because that's what it's designed to do. Sure, it makes muscles grow like crazy. Beef and dairy are great anabolics. That's why bodybuilders love beef so much. You know where the term beef eater comes from? Beef eaters were the Queen's guards. They ate beef, so they would grow bigger and stronger than normal men because they ate beef, hence the term beef eater. But there is no free ride. There are no shortcuts. Sure, it makes muscles grow like magic, but it makes everything else grow that is inside you also, like the prostate and cancer, two of the biggest killers of men. Women are not excluded either. It makes tumors and cysts grow, especially in female reproductive organs like breast, uterus, and ovaries, because cancer is hormone-driven and cow milk is very powerful hormones. As a matter of fact, a pasture-raised, grass-fed cow is probably healthier, so their hormones are even stronger. Again, the whole purpose of cow milk is to make a baby calf grow quickly into a 2,000-pound animal, and once it's full grown, it stops drinking its own milk, because if you give powerful growth hormones to something that's already full grown, what do you think will happen? It makes something grow, and if you're already full grown, whatever grows inside you is probably not what you want to grow. And yet, human adults consume dairy like crazy and wonder why they have cancer. But wait, there's more. Cow's milk is more than just hormones. What are the two main things in cow's milk? That's right, lactose and fat. In other words, sugar and fat. Pop quiz, what happens when you combine sugar and fat? Anyone with diabetes would know this. Fat clogs insulin receptors, so cells can't sense insulin, so the cells don't open to receive nutrition properly, and even if they did, what would they be getting? That's right, fat. Dairy is not only one of the biggest causes of diabetes, but sadly also type 1. Babies are generally not born with type 1 diabetes. Most babies are not born diabetic. They get it after like 1 to 3 years after being raised on, you guessed it, cow milk. Study after study has linked type 1 diabetes to cow milk and dairy. And if adults don't lose their dairy addiction, they're likely recipients of becoming type 2 diabetics. And the sad part of all this is that millions of people's lives all over the world could have been saved. Millions did not have to go blind or have limbs amputated and the quality of their life reduced. Bodybuilders think they can do it for a while until they get big muscles and then cut down, but humans are kind of greedy. You know how they are. When they start seeing results, they don't want to stop. They like what they see in the mirror, and it feeds their ego, so they keep going. Now, yes, people who go carnivore do improve their health, but not because they're eating meat. It's because they stopped eating bread and pizza and pasta and ice cream and Doritos and beer. Now, I'm not going to focus on meat here. This video is about dairy. But just remember, all cow products contain cow hormones. Meat is mainly protein, a bit of fat, and some hormones. But milk and dairy is much, much worse because it contains almost zero protein. It's mainly fat, sugar, and very powerful hormones. Even more powerful than those in meat because the sole purpose of cow milk is to make baby cows grow quickly into 2,000-pound animals. That's it. That's the purpose of milk. It is not intended to keep feeding a cow after it's grown. So if cows stop taking it after they're full grown, you might want to think twice before doing that yourself as a scrawny human being, and this stuff isn't even intended for humans, especially if you are a typical human who's already not in the best of health because of, well, your weakness for bread and sugar and ice cream and pasta and pastries and cookies and alcohol, smoking weed, fried foods, refined cooking, oils, trans fats, artificial sweeteners, cereal, processed meat, and high-fat granola bars. Most people are already chronically ill, always on the edge of getting sick, full of aches and pains and inflammation and brain fog and low energy and bloating and stomach and digestive issues. And then they go and throw a bunch of dairy on top of it all, fat, sugar, and powerful growth hormones. Unbelievable. Almost everything people eat is a mixture of carbs and fat. Remember, carbs not only turn into sugar, which feeds bacteria, fungus, mold, yeast, parasites, and cancer, but also raises blood sugar, and snacking all day leads to insulin resistance, and the nail in the coffin is the constant presence of fat to seal off the insulin receptors. And what do people eat? Almost everything people eat is a combination of carbs and fat. Pizza is wheat crust and melted cheese. Ice cream is milk, sugar, and fat. Chocolate is fat and sugar. Chocolate cake is fat and sugar. Pancakes, carbs and sugary syrup. Chips and crackers, carbs and fat. Cereal, carbs, milk, fat, and sugar. What do people put in their coffee? Milk and sugar. Milk already has lactose, so that's double the sugar. Grilled cheese sandwich and cheeseburgers, wheat with melted cheese. Potatoes, what do people do with potatoes? Put butter on it, carb and fat. Oh wait, that's not the end of it. They put melted cheese over that. In fact, people melt cheese over almost everything nowadays. Dairy is almost all popular foods and dishes. You go to any restaurant, almost everything has cheese in it. And don't think yogurt is immune just because they put some kind of bacteria in there. It's still dairy. It's still fat and sugar and cow hormones. So let's talk about cow hormones. In order for a cow to make milk, it needs to be pregnant. So they pump dairy cows full of estrogen around the clock all year long so they can keep making milk. And you get that cow estrogen, and what does estrogen do? It's a fat storage hormone, so it makes you fat. And oh yeah, it feeds cancer, especially hormone-driven cancers like breast, ovarian, uterine, and flares things up like endometriosis, fibroids, and diabetes. But wait, there's more goodies in cow's milk. There's bovine somatotropin, BST, a growth hormone that helps regulate milk production and growth in cattle. But that wasn't good enough. No, the farmers started using a synthetic version of BST called recombinant BST or RBST. Oh, but wait, there's more. Milk also contains insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1, a hormone peptide that's the main growth factor in milk. So of course, consuming milk and dairy increases IGF-1 significantly in humans. And what does IGF-1 do? It's a growth hormone that can promote cancer in several ways. It's required for cells to enter and progress through the cell cycle. It contributes to tumor growth because it induces vascular endothelial growth factor, VEGF. And IGF-1R activation makes integrins relocate to the leading edge of migrating cells. This is called metastasis. In other words, it helps cancer spread to other parts of the body. And to cap it all off, IGF signaling increases resistance to treatment. It's just, oh my God. A study of almost 400,000 people, that's almost 500,000 people, confirms that high blood levels of IGF-1 are a risk factor for several types of cancer. And yes, that does include yogurt and cottage cheese. And yes, it makes cancer grow in men too, like prostate and colon. That's two of the biggest killers of men. And once dairy is inside you, it's really hard to get rid of because it has casein, which is like swallowing glue. It totally clogs up your insides. So if you want to have constipation, there you go. All right, what about goat milk? So it's a smaller animal. Goats are not as big as cows. If you're hell-bent on eating cheese from an animal, then yes, goat is a wiser choice. But remember, it's still fat, sugar, and hormones, and foreign proteins our body doesn't recognize, which could still lead to autoimmune issues. Even if you drank human milk, made cheese out of it, it's still fat and sugar. Why do you think nature designed humans to stop getting breast milk after 5 or 6 years? Because we're not supposed to have it. Stop trying to cheat your nature. You can't win. You can't change the rules. There are no shortcuts. You can't cheat. And if you try, there will always be a price to pay. Always. It's not worth it. Eat and live the way nature intended. Just because you can survive on something doesn't mean you're supposed to live your whole life that way. Life rafts, for example, are not meant to be used for years on end. Watch my recent video on healthy fats. I'll put the link down below. Check out veganmilk.com, where I show you how to make 5 different types of plant milks that you can make at home easily within 90 seconds. I also have a video showing you how you can make your own healthy coconut yogurt easily at home. And then we got all kinds of recipe videos on this channel showing you how you can make your own cheese from cashews and almonds and sea moss. It's so nutritious. It's a complete meal. There are no excuses. If you want to be really healthy, stop doing what you've been brainwashed to do by a sick, unhealthy society. I mean, look around you. Look at the people telling you how to eat and drink. Look at them. I mean, do you really want to look like that? Do you want to be unhealthy? Do you want to be overweight with inflammation and aches and pains and diabetes and fibromyalgia and fibroids and poor vision and lungs, filling with mucus and phlegm and low energy and heart disease and cancer? Or do you want to know what it's like to be really alive and free to enjoy life the way it was meant to be experienced? I want you to know what it's like to be really alive. And if you can't stop eating meat, at least cut the dairy. Do what you can. You have to start somewhere. Every step you take can be one step closer to freedom. I'll see you in the next video.